Hello again, Bill Jones, recapturefederalism.com, recapturefederalism.com on the net, on YouTube. You get it there. All my stuff. I got over 160 videos. Nobody sees them because it's suppression by the media. That includes Google, Wikipedia. Oh, they got the... I'm counter-communist, Psych ops. And everybody, they're everywhere. They're everywhere are communist Psych ops. Communist Psych ops. Everywhere. Everywhere. Let me... I, William Jones, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, so help me God. I first took that oath in July 1965 when I joined the United States Navy. The enemy then was communism, as the enemy is now communism. Yeah. I got up on the screen the guidelines of the organizational structure of communist parties on the methods and content of their work. It's the Third Congress of the Comintern in 1921 adopted 24th session of the Third Congress of the Communist International, 12 July 1921. And that's where we're at, 1921, man, that's a long time ago, isn't it? Well, Communist Manifesto from 1848, based off the Communist Confession of Faith, 1847. And let me read go back to the two primary things. If you don't learn anything from my presentations, learn this. From page 26 of the Communist Manifesto. There are, besides eternal truths such as freedom and justice, etc. I was throwing liberty there too. They are common in all states of society, but communism abolishes eternal truth and abolishes all religion and all morality. Let me read that again. But communism abolishes eternal truth and abolishes all religion and all morality. Goodbye, God the Father. Goodbye, Jesus Christ. Goodbye, the Holy Spirit. And eternal truths such as freedom and justice, liberty. Yeah. And it abolishes all morality. So you have the communist in the United States disobeying God's commandments, 10 commandments, and adhering in public policy based upon the 7 evil spirits, the 7 deadly sins. And commanding by law and regulations, man's law over God's law. We're going to get into another presentation here shortly about government by authority of God, but that's another day. Page 34 of the Communist Manifesto. Finally, they labor everywhere for the union and agreement of the democratic parties of all countries. The union. And this goes back to FDR. Communism. Union and agreement of the democratic parties. Yep. He was a communist. The next paragraph, the communists disdain to conceal their views, names, they openly declare their ends can be attained only by the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. Let the ruling classes tremble at the communistic revolution. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. Working men of all countries unite. And as I say, insurrection started in this country, and the communistic revolution. Actively, 1886, Haymarket Square, Chicago, 7 police officers killed. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that because I got the guidelines up here. General. And the last paragraph, the first paragraph last sentence. And the subsequential transitional period toward realization of socialism, the first stage of the communist society. Okay, in this country that was Roosevelt, FDR, built off of the ones prior to him, because we've had democratic, and I'm not going to show it today, but it's democracy going back to 1856 in the Democratic Party platform. But that was one, in general. On democratic centralism, two, that's when FDR started the National Relief Act, NRA, not the National Rifle Association, but the National Relief Act, and first declared unconstitutional by the Congress, and then FDR tampered with the court, threatened to increase the number of the court to 12 from 9 because he had a political party supremacy, and that's where they started democratic centralism, and that continued on. 1953, Department of Education, 1970, whatever, EPA and all that kind of stuff. Federal Housing Act, 1949, the largest socialist program ever until Obamacare. Then we have federalized government, but he's a communist. Obama's a communist. Communist obligation to do work. That's communist community organizers such as Barack Obama and Jesse Jackson and Mayor of Chicago and Mayor of New York and what have you. And then we go to, and this ties right in with the press, because this is what I'm going to be talking about, the press. I'm going to be talking about the press on propaganda and agitation. That's what the press is all about. They report on communist chaos. Now, the Constitution is supposed to be ensuring domestic tranquility, but you cannot have domestic tranquility because you have communist chaos, and because of propaganda and agitation, the lies, the lying by silence. Lying by silence. They don't talk about treason, Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution, do they? By silence. Fraudulent misrepresentations. And then 5 is coming up here shortly. Political struggles. Oh yeah, political struggles. Okay, chaos, commie chaos. That's 5. Now we get down to 6. And I'm going to be going through some of these in detail at a future time, because it's so detailed. The communist press, on the party press, and that means it was 1921. That's all they had was the press then. No talkies, no movies. Well, I guess they had movies, but they had the silent ones, and then they just had the talking ones, and then they got the color ones, and Hollywood, and the screenwriters are communist, and McCarthyism, and talking about propaganda and communist psychops. What do they have? Well, if you call people communists with McCarthy. See, that's the propaganda. Because that's all the press then got in with the parties, and they just character assassination of McCarthy. That was the time of the Rosenberg. There were communists everywhere, as there are now, and there are more now than what was there. Oh yeah. No newspaper may be recognized as a communist organ if it does not submit to the directives of the party. Well, said so right up here. Yeah. And so that's what you have. You have the political party media, all of them, ABC, Disney, NBC, Universal. And I'm talking about the board of directors, communist, pro-communist, progressives, socialist, totalist, which we'll get into another time. Total control of the media, total control of ideas and the purveyors of those ideas. Party press. I mentioned CBS, Viacom, board of directors, and everybody under them advocating the overthrow of government, their communist community organizers, their troops, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Their troops, soldiers, communist soldiers, and Fox News. Now, I mentioned those other ones, and we know they're CNN, Clinton News Network, we called that in the 80s. It's still the Democratic Party, DNC, headquartered, publicist, and what have you. Then you got Fox News. They are communist organizers, too. And why do I say that? They have on their shows, Megyn Kelly especially, Republican strategist and Democratic strategist. Two political parties, two political crime families, two political criminal enterprises supported by Wall Street, Hollywood, corporations, banks, all the monopolies, and the news media. Why don't they have any We the People strategist on there? Why don't they have any slave strategist on there? Oh no, we gotta keep the slaves oppressed. We the people, slaves oppressed. In enslavement of the American people. Crimes against American humanity. Abortion is a genocide. Abortion is genocide. Then they talk about old stories. Never talk about old stories. Oh, that's old stories. No, it's history. It's history. What Roosevelt did is history. It's not old stories. But you see, Patricia Evans in her book, Controlling People, talks about, and that's what they are, controlling people, communist psych ops, controlling people, enslaving people. Talked about Taliban, still going on strong in Afghanistan. And then she wrote that in 2001 book. She talked about Taliban in the 1990s. They're there so long that their society becomes traditions. And so you don't talk about the old stories. Don't talk about history. Everything is just fine. It's new traditions. New traditions cover up the women and don't give human rights to women and stuff like that. Traditions. And that's what we got going on in this country. Traditions put on by the party press. The party press. I'm going to quick go down. I'm going to talk about soldiers, general structure of the party. I always want to say orgasm, but organism, and because they're screwing us. On the combination of legal and illegal work, here's where we get the killing of public officials, police primarily, is in this. The party must be organized that it can at all times in itself quickly change the conditions of struggle. Every situation will always be on combat footing. Communist chaos and communist combat footing. Soldiers, community organizers. Community organizers. Yes, that's it. Why don't they have ordinary people on there, veterans of Vietnam and Korea, talking about politics and about communism? Oh, they're too busy brainwashing the younger people, brainwashing them for 150 plus years. Goodbye.